What's up, you beautiful people? Welcome back to my channel. My name's Dave from Chase the Summit. You probably know that already. And boy, do I have a good one for you today. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Apple Watch Series 7 and how it compares to the older Apple Watch Series 6. Now, this is going to be a different sort of video on my channel. Typically, I go really in depth and I go through every little feature and screen and through the entire user interface of the watch, but not this time because, to be honest, the Apple Watch Series 7 is so similar to the Apple Watch Series 6 that I would be wasting your time to go through all the features. And honestly, the new features of the Apple Watch Series 7 are also available in the Series 6 if you just upgrade the watch firmware. So in this video, we're going to focus down. We're going to talk about the new hardware changes on the Apple Watch Series 7, and then we're going to talk about the GPS performance, the heart rate accuracy from the optical heart rate sensor, and of course, battery life. And I know what you might be thinking, the spec sheet of the Apple Watch Series 7 is nearly identical in all of those categories to the Series 6, but we know Apple. We know that they're sneaky and they change stuff on the watch without telling us, so I put it to the test, and we're going to look at the evidence today and see how they stack up against each other. However, before I do all of those things, if you do enjoy this video or you find it useful or helpful, please consider hitting that thumbs up button down below and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss more things like this, because this is what I do here. Also, if you are interested in picking up either one of these watches, I will have them linked down below, and those links do help support my channel, so check them out. Okay, enough with the blabbering. Let's talk about the watches. Now, if we look at these two watches at a glance, you tell me which one is the Apple Watch Series 7. Well, I think the watch face just gave it away, but pretend that didn't happen. Which one's the Series 7 here? On the surface, if you were just walking by somebody wearing either one of these watches, you would be hard-pressed to tell the difference between the Series 6 and the Series 7, particularly in this case because they're basically the same color. And of course, I'll just give it away. This is the Series 7 here, and this one is the Series 6. There are a few minor changes that were done to the Series 7 to make it different from the Series 6. First off, the actual digital crown on the right here that you roll with your finger or click got a little bit bigger, and I'm talking ever so slightly bigger. You can tell here, side by side, you can't even tell on camera, but trust me when I say it's a little bit bigger. Also, if you look at this Series 7 here, compared to the Series 6, it did grow by 1 millimeter, which is not a lot. That's like 39 thousandths of an inch. So in the hand, you can barely tell the size difference apart, but if you compare really closely, you can tell one is a little bit bigger than the other. Oh yeah, and I should probably mention that this is the 45 millimeter variant of the Apple Watch Series 7. This is also just the GPS version, not the GPS Plus LTE version, and this is the midnight colorway. Other than the actual size of these two watches, not much else has changed. The corners did become slightly more rounded. I don't know if you can even tell on camera, but the Apple Watch Series 7 got a little bit more round in the corners. Another nice thing that Apple did is they kept the band attachment the same as the Series 6. So if you have a collection of Apple Watch Series 6 bands, you can still pop them off and put them on the Series 7. The included charger that comes with the Series 7 is very similar to the charger that came with the Series 6. However, it is a little bit different. On the Series 6, it was actually a molded all-white piece of plastic around the entire charger. On the Series 7, it's got an aluminum back and then a plastic white part here that connects to your watch. And basically, just stick your charger on there and you're good to go. This new charger, in conjunction with the Apple Watch Series 7, is also fast charge enabled. So you can go from 0% on your battery up to 80% in just 30 minutes, which is really awesome. This new charging hockey puck is backwards compatible with the Series 6, so it will charge a Series 6. However, it will not fast charge a Series 6, so just keep that in mind. That fast charge feature is really awesome because the battery life on the Apple Watch Series 7, well, we'll get to that in a little bit. There are a few other hardware changes that aren't totally obvious on the Series 7. The first one's going to be the glass on the front of the display here. These lower tiered models still use the Ion X glass that's made by Apple. You can upgrade to a sapphire lens, which is way more scratch resistant. However, it costs quite a bit of money to get that. But on the Ion X version here, they have increased the thickness of the glass to make it more crack resistant. They also claim that the overall durability of the Apple Watch Series 7 has improved from the Series 6. I gotta be honest though, the Apple Watch Series 6 for me has proven to be pretty durable, even though I don't have the sapphire glass or anything like that. I really have beaten the crap out of this thing, and there's no scratches on the metal around the perimeter of the watch. However, I do have one kind of nasty scratch right in the center of the screen there. I don't even know how I got that, but it is there. The Apple Watch Series 7, on the other hand, I haven't scratched yet. However, I've only been wearing it for a couple of weeks now, so I really have no way of knowing how durable this thing is, but it's good to see that they've improved it, even though I don't necessarily think it needed improving. The Apple Watch Series 7 also got an improved waterproof rating of IP6X compared to the older Apple Watch, which was waterproof to like ISO something standards, but it wasn't IP rated, so that's supposed to be an improvement. All right, now let's talk about the displays between the Apple Watch Series 7 and the Series 6. Apple has increased the size of the display on the Series 7 to take up more of the watch, and that's pretty noticeable right up front when you unlock these watches. I don't really have any complaints with the Series 6. I mean, this display is really nice and it's plenty big, but the Series 7 does look a little bit more modern because of the thinner bezels around the perimeter of the watch. And there are some interesting quirks to having the larger display on the Series 7. First of all, you get the ability to type on a full keyboard where you don't have the ability to do that on the Series 6. This is kind of an interesting choice by Apple because they could obviously just roll this down to the Series 6, but it's exclusive to the Series 7. And tell you what, it's really hard to type on because the letters are so dang tiny that I just prefer to use the swipe method that the Series 6 has. But if you have tiny fingers, you might enjoy the ability to use a keyboard on the Series 7. And finally, on the list of what's new on the Series 7 is the watch faces available. For instance, this one here. I really like the look of this one, but there's a few more to choose from. Honestly, I don't get too wrapped up in the watch faces on my Apple Watch, but this one's pretty cool. And my kids love the fact that if you roll the wheel, the numbers actually change the size. So that's really fun. You can do that in your spare time. Okay, now let's talk about battery life on the Series 7 as compared to the Series 6. And I've done a lot of testing in this department, probably too much for my own sanity. I wore them for several days in a row, one on my left wrist, one on my right. I looked really cool for a while there. And I tracked the battery usage through different activities. So I lived my everyday life. I changed diapers. I went to bed at night. And I also went running every day, tracking how much battery was lost during those runs. And Apple claims that they've given these two watches all-day battery life with 18 hours of use. That's an interesting way of wording it, in my opinion, because by definition, 1 day equals 24 hours, unless I'm missing something there. So both watches do have a claimed 18 hours of battery life if you're just using them as an everyday smartwatch. What is interesting, though, is I think the Apple Watch Series 7 has a larger battery because of that bigger size and bigger display, but they equal out to the same amount of battery life. But it makes me wonder if there's some tweak here, like by lowering the brightness or turning off certain settings, that we might be able to squeeze out more battery life from the Series 7 than the Series 6. I'll need to do more testing on that. In this video, we're just going to talk about my experience using them so far. Now, in day-to-day life, without GPS activities included, both watches perform very similarly. I mean, nearly identically. Now, in day-to-day life with the same exact settings, doing the same things, both watches were basically the same. They were nearly identical in terms of battery life, within like 1 or 2% of each other. And that's to say not that great, but I think I could eke out 18 hours of use, and that matches up with their claim. So I guess we're okay there if you don't mind charging every day. Now here's where things get interesting when it comes to GPS battery life. I went out on several runs using different apps. I used Workoutdoors, the Strava app, and the built-in activity app to track my runs, and I tracked how much battery was lost during every one of those runs. And after a 1-hour run using the same app and the same settings on both watches, I found consistently that the Apple Watch Series 7 was losing more battery life than the Series 6. And it was almost exactly the same after every 1-hour run, by being about 12% lost compared to the 10% or 9% lost on the Series 6. That being said, the sample size here is like 10 or 12 runs, and I didn't go for super long runs like beyond 1 or 2 hours, so I don't know if things would change for longer duration activity. But just my initial impression here, the Series 6 seems to have a bit better battery life if you're recording a GPS activity. Now let's talk about GPS accuracy between the Series 7 and Series 6, and to test these, I made sure these two watches were disconnected from my phone during the activity. So I had airplane mode on, Bluetooth off, and I made sure both were disconnected from the phone before starting the run, because if you don't know, they actually default to your phone's GPS connection rather than their internal antennas if they're paired with an iPhone. So what you're looking at here is the Apple Watch Series 7 in blue, the Apple Watch Series 6 in red, and my iPhone, the track recorded from my iPhone independently, in orange. So during this run, I knew I was going to be using this for a GPS test. I did some intentional deviations from my typical run by like running in squares and circles and stuff. So let's see how they stack up. On this road, I was running down the sidewalk, and then I went off into a trail, and you can see they all recorded that pretty accurately. You can see that the iPhone actually drifted a bit when I took the corner into the trail, and that was a pretty sharp turn. And that's an issue I've actually seen with Apple Watches before this. this and my iPhone is that they tend to smooth out corners instead of showing a real sharp corner. So it's good to see that both the Apple Watch Series 6 and the 7 picked up that corner. Now, if we pan out over here, I ran by a baseball field next to the high school and then into the parking lot. And here's where I did some really weird shapes when I was running. And honestly, they all did a pretty good job here. Down here, you can see that the iPhone actually drifts out quite a bit, but both Apple Watches are staying in line with each other. And then down the road here, everything's looking pretty good as well. Now here's a section where I took a real fast interval down a dead end road. So I wanted to record the track going in and then the track going out using the same side of the road to see if the lines match up on top of each other, because that's ideally what we'd be looking for here. And you can see they're all doing a decent job within a couple of feet of each other. You can see there that the iPhone in orange kind of goes crazy. That's probably doing the worst here, but both the Apple Watches are doing a decent job. However, further down, we can see that the blue track actually deviates from itself and drifts a bit, and that's the Apple Watch Series 7. And at the end of this dead-end road, it had a little cul-de-sac where I looped around it, and we see that they all picked that up pretty accurately. Honestly, overall, we'd be splitting hairs here between the Series 6 and Series 7. I think they're both doing a decent job in terms of GPS accuracy, and I think the Series 6 got a little bit better when they updated the watchOS software. So everything's looking pretty good between both Apple Watches. Now let's talk about everyone's favorite topic, heart rate accuracy from the optical heart rate sensors on the back of these two watches. Now, Apple didn't state if they changed anything in terms of the heart rate sensors on these watches, but I did want to test them to see if anything did. And to test these watches, I also wore the Polar H9 chest strap, which is ECG based, and you wear it on your chest here. And this is super accurate, so I use this as a baseline of comparison. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the Apple Watch Series 7 in purple, the Apple Watch Series 6 in blue, and my iPhone paired to the Polar H9 chest strap in red. And I chose this track because I got some interesting results here. Early on in the run, you can see right at the beginning of the run when my heart rate spikes up, the Apple Watch Series 6, the blue track, actually tracks right alongside the Polar H9 chest strap, where the Apple Watch Series 7 was a little bit low and it took a couple of minutes to come up to speed. But right after that, it stabilizes, and you can see here my heart rate drops and everyone picks that up pretty accurately. Then everything gets spiked up again and everything's picking that up accurately. The Apple Watch Series 7 looks a little bit high in this area compared to the Apple Watch Series 6 and the Polar H9. But again, later on in the run, everything kind of stabilizes. There are a couple of little blips along the way. The reason why I showed you that first activity was because that was probably the worst of the bunch when it came to accuracy from the Series 7. To be honest, it's been generally pretty good other than that one activity. So I don't know if it was an issue with how tight I had it on my wrist or something else going on. And to prove that, here's another activity. We've got the Polar H9 chest strap in red here and the Series 7 in purple here. And you can see in this activity, it's actually looking pretty good and stays in line with the Polar H9 almost identically throughout the entire activity, except for one little high point here and one low point there. And honestly, those could be anything. I may have been messing with the watch and maybe it lost contact with my wrist. To be honest, the Series 7 has been pretty accurate when it comes to heart rate performance, but it's not really night and day different than the Series 6. They're both very good. Finally, let's talk about the price of the Apple Watch Series 7. And the good news here is that it's exactly the same as the Apple Watch Series 6. They didn't change the pricing strategy at all. You can get the GPS plus LTE, different materials at a premium price, but generally it's the same as the Series 6. So that makes choosing the Apple Watch Series 7 a little bit easier because honestly, you can't really buy a Series 6 anymore. Apple doesn't sell them in their stores. You could probably find them discounted on a Best Buy rack somewhere because they might have leftover stock, or maybe you could find a secondhand one on the used market at a good price, and that might be worth jumping for because the Series 7 isn't all that different. But if you are interested in buying a new Apple Watch right now, the Apple Watch Series 7 is the best one you can get. You've got a slightly larger screen, you've got a more robust build with an IP rating, thicker glass on the front, which potentially could save you a couple of bucks if you end up cracking the screen. And despite the battery life on the Series 7 not getting an upgrade and still pretty lackluster, the fact that they included fast charging on the Series 7 really changes the game, because now you can throw it on the charger for 30 minutes and get 80% battery life and get through the rest of your day. And that alone might be worth the upgrade to the Series 7. So if you don't own an Apple Watch and you want to buy an Apple Watch, I would say the Series 7 is the one to get. But if you have an Apple Watch Series 6, I really see absolutely no reason to sell your Series 6 and get a Series 7 because they are nearly identical except for a few minor details. But at the end of the day, it's your money and I can't spend it for you. And if you own a Series 6 and you want to upgrade, I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. What feature on the Apple Watch Series 7 is making you upgrade? Let me know down below. And if you don't own an Apple Watch and you're looking to get one, which model are you going to pick up? Let me know down below as well. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, friends, that brings us to the end of this video. And now I'm going to remind you again, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe down below, and check out the links in the description if you want to pick up an Apple Watch Series 6 or a Series 7 or one of these hats. I'll have that link down below as well. And yeah, I think that's the end. That's probably where we should stop recording. Yep. Okay. Bye.